I can do whatever I want. Illustrations by me. So a big question is, can you use watercolor with acrylic markers? Now, I've done the video with the acrylic paint, the watercolor with the acrylic paint, and I'll pop the picture of that thing right up here so you can see it. And that was fun. I enjoyed it. Some of you said you enjoyed it. I think it's very possible it's just in a marker form. So I said, well, how can I do this? How could I possibly do this? Well, I do have a lot of acrylic markers that I could test this out with, but Shuttle Art sent me a set of 36 paint markers, and I'm gonna try it with their markers. I will swatch these out first before I do this so that you can watch the swatch out. This thing is pretty neat. So it comes in this little, look at this. It's a little carry case like that. Isn't that interesting? A little carry. I like how the companies are doing that now. They're putting these acrylic markers in their own little carry case so you can take them with you. If you go somewhere, you can take this and set it out and do whatever you want. I have not opened these yet, so let me see how they're laid out here. Okay, so this is interesting. There are latches across the edge here. Do you see those latches? So you flip this one down here, and then you grab the handle here. Where's the handle? There's the handle. And you pull off the lid, and now you can access these markers. And then you just go down the line. So each one has their own tray. So each one comes in their own little tray of colors. So you can spread them out on the table if you want to. Very interesting. It has one of those. Oh, I love that. So can you see the ink right there? Oh, I love that. I love that you can see it in there. And it actually... Okay, so it does have the little ball in there, the little ball bearing, so you can mix it up. And you actually see it. So what the yellow looked a little strange. It looked a little pale at first. And then I shook it up, and now it's fine. And these are not pump. You don't pump them. You don't do anything to them. You don't twist them. You don't do anything. All you do is write with them. They have the felt on it, the flexible felt. I love that. That's my favorite kind of marker, just so you know. I like the acrylic markers. I don't care if they have the little ball in there, you gotta shake them. That doesn't matter to me. But I like the ones, I like the ones with the window that show how much paint's still in there. But I also like the ones with the brush tip. That's the one the non-pumping brush tip is my preferred. But I like any of them so long as they have a brush tip. That's important. I don't like the back pumps. The back pumps are my least favorite acrylic marker that there is, but don't worry about that. I'm going to swatch these out. I don't know if I'm going to organize these in a different color scheme the way that they are. I don't have any information. I probably should have looked. Oh, they sent me a packet. What is this? It's a whole packet here. What is this thing here? Oh, okay, so they sent me, they're forward thinking. I'm not, but so what they did is they sent me paper to swatch out on. Either that or I could just paint on it, I'm sure. But I can swatch out the colors there. They sent me 3 colors so I can swatch them out. They sent me black paper so that I can swatch it out on the black paper as well. And then I guess you just keep it in there. Then all the instructions are on here, what all the parts are, how to use it. You don't do you do not press, it's right there, look at that. You do not press it down, don't do it. You just take the thing off and you just start using it. And it says auto ink control. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure it's important. And you know what, I'm gonna try it right now. I wanna find out, are these more felt or are these more rubber? We're gonna use orange on this one, and oh yeah, okay. So it's more like a rubber tip. It's not a felt tip, it's a rubber tip. But it's a brush tip, and that's wonderful. And immediately, as soon as I put it down, even though you don't see any ink in this feed here, but as soon as I touched the paper with it, the ink came out. There's even instructions on the pen. Shake it before use, close after use, and then put it flat. So they want you to store this like this. They don't want you to, don't put it up in something and don't put it tipped down. Just store it flat. That's how I store all my markers usually. I don't like them up on end. They always either dry out or they get disgusting, or sometimes the paint leaks through the tip if you put them paint down. You don't ever do that. So I'm gonna swatch these out. We're gonna see how they work with watercolor because that's what I'm doing with them. But I am gonna swatch them on their sheets that they gave me. That way I can, yeah, that way I can leave them in there. They're perfect size. Hold on here. So these papers are perfect size to fit in here. Almost. Hold on. Oh, they're almost perfect size. They're not quite. Hold on. So it looks like where it hits this little, where the clasp is, it hits that a little bit. So you would not fit in there all the way. I'm gonna trim them a little bit because I like the idea of putting the swatch card inside here. So that's how I'm gonna do it. It's just a little notch right there. That's the only thing holding it out. But don't worry, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna swatch on these, and then I'm gonna just trim off the little bottom edge and stick them in here. That way I can see the colors that are in there instead of just looking at the markers. Even though the markers are very nice. They're very nice to look at. But all right, let's get into the swatch. Then I'll do the painting. I'm gonna do the watercolor first, and I'm gonna do it a way that fits me. So I'm going to do it very, very abstract, but at the same time, I want the acrylic paint to look like it's glowing. So I'm going to do some very watery watercolor and then put the acrylic marker on top of that once it dries. Let's see what I can do. So before I see what I can do, I just realized something else, because I don't ever read instructions, do I? No, I do not. So let me just show you this now. So on the black paper, they have a color chart that's already filled out like, and then on the white sheet, there's another color chart. So I'm gonna use their color charts. When I swatch it out, I have no idea. And then they gave you some coloring sheets. I don't know if you can see that, it's very light. Can you see the design that's on there? It's basically it's a coloring paper. And it feels like, this is heavy. This is like watercolor paper. I don't know if it is, but it feels and looks like a rough watercolor paper, like a cold pressed watercolor paper. I don't know if it is. And then they give you these, there's another one that's so hard to see. You're probably not gonna pick this up on the camera. Very hard to see the detail in here, but there's 4 squares with different shapes and different patterns on them. I don't know what I'm doing. We're gonna have to, I think every time you're gonna have to let me know, hey, yeah, you gotta use the instruction manual, you moron. So that's what I'll do, but there's some interesting stuff. Now, I don't see anything on this extra black piece of paper, so this is just an extra black piece of paper. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and swatch these out first, then we'll get it. Then I will see what I can do. All right, let's get into that. Okay, so I just want to point out as I'm swatching these out, and I have the color charts in front of me that are already filled out, I really like this color palette. I thought it was gonna be a little bit too pastel for me. I'm looking at these colors thinking, I don't think so. I wanna tell you, when you see the painting, the colors blend so well with the watercolor paint. You'll see, but it's just, the color palette works wonderfully with paint. It really does. So, and I mean, it is paint. It's paint markers, but it's still, it's you know what I mean. So on the black card, what you will notice is that whenever you go over something with something other than a brush, something other than an actual brush with acrylic paint, where you have a lot of paint on the brush when you go over something, when you use a marker, you always have a tip that's being used as an applicator, and it causes a little bit of rubbing against what you just put down. So it causes a little bit of streaking, it really does. There are some colors, like some of the purples and a couple of the blues and a green and maybe a brown or so, where you don't see any of those streaks. It covers very well. It did not pull it back up. But for most of the colors, it did a little bit on the black paper. Not a big deal. You just have to do more than one swipe, more than one coat or something on the black paper. On the white paper, everything looks extremely opaque. It covers very well. It's good. It's very nice. There's a little bit of transparency when you look around the edges of like some of the lighter colors, like the orange and the like the pale pinks and the fleshy colors and that kind of stuff. But for the most part, pretty well, covers pretty well. I was just blown away by the color palette. I absolutely love it. If I start from the beginning, there's not, again, they did this right, not too many yellows. That's important to me. I don't like having 300 yellows to pick from. I just need a couple. And they picked like a really pale yellow and then more of a brighter yellow. And then they left the yellows alone. They went more to like the earthy colors and things like that. Some tans and beiges. You have a true orange, which is always nice. I love orange, so that's always nice. You have a lot of earth colors in there. So even at the beginning of that set, there's some earthy colors in there. And then at the end of the set, there's some earthy colors. And they're nice earthy colors. Very good. And they have a couple of pinks, but they didn't go crazy with them. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 pinks maybe. But all in all, they're very different, so that's not bad. So if you like a certain color pink, you can blend them okay. Only one true red, and that's fine. It's a little bit, I love the color of it. It's not a bright pop in your face red, but it's a very nice color red. It's almost like a muted red, and I love muted colors. That's my thing. The purples, there's a couple of them, 1, 2, 3, 4 purples maybe. I thought they were fine. Maybe a paler purple there, maybe 5. I thought they worked well. They have some very light ones, pastel ones, and very dark, deep ones, which is if you're going to paint something and you're going to paint traditionally normal stuff and you're going to draw it, you want some of the dark stuff and then you put some of the light on top or however you do that. It's going to work fine. The gray and the blues and even the greens, I absolutely love the greens. Most of the greens, I'd say there's like maybe one that I wouldn't use. All the rest of them I would use. That says something because I don't like a lot of greens. But especially when you get to the end there, that the B78 and the B88 and the B26, they're beautiful greens. I will use them very much. I absolutely love them. They're going to be great for landscapes. If you're going to do a landscape, that's it right there. So again, the earth colors, subtle hints of colors inside of other colors are some of my favorite things. So when you get to the end, you'll see E13. It's right before the white and the black. E13 is a brown, but it has a little bit of almost like a pinkish hue to it, which reminds me of the Daniel Smith Pyrmonite Genuine. It just reminds me. I'm not saying it's even close to the color. I'm just saying it reminds me of that because you have a brown, but then it has like a little bit of pink in it. It's just absolutely beautiful. I love that. They did a great job putting these colors together. I can't complain about it at all. Okay, so looking at the painting, doing this painting, the biggest challenge for me was that I didn't want to overshadow the watercolor. I wanted them to work together. So I made sure that I put in a lot of some watercolor that would move a lot with a lot of texture in it. There's some granulating, some non-granulating, but they still move, and you see some of the paint kind of move and then freeze in place, and it has these little jagged edges, these feathery edges, and I didn't want to destroy that. So what I did was I went down and I said, okay, let me put in all the color first and figure out what I can do to accentuate it or add some texture to it with the acrylic paint markers and just make them complement them and work together so that one didn't do something over the other, but they both kind of worked together. They both worked well and they both kind of highlight each other. So that's what I decided to do here, and I'm looking at it now. That's why I keep looking down. I'm not looking at notes. I'm looking at the paint. You can't see it yet. You'll see it. Don't worry about it. But I thought it was great. Now, let me just say this. Okay, look. I put in all the watercolor, and then I put in all the acrylic paint, and it looked fine. And if this was on like a 40 by 60 canvas and it was hanging in some art museum somewhere and my nose was so high up in the air that birds could nest in my nostrils, I would have left it alone right there. But I didn't because I like contrast. So I went back in with a black pen, and I filled in some areas around it, only around the acrylic. I tried to leave the watercolor itself alone. Again, I didn't want to overshadow the watercolor because I wanted it to all look like it was moving together. So as I went through and outlined all of the acrylic ink, I left the watercolor right where it was. So you see some concentrated drawing, or what looks like some detailed drawing. And then right next to it is some watercolor that's just kind of splashing out in the page. I thought that that's how it worked well. That's how I like to see it. I thought it turned out well. Like I said, it's my art. I'm going to do it my way. You want to do it your way? You do your own art the way that you want to do it. Nobody's going to say a word to you, but I'm going to do the work the way that I want to do it, and I'll have plenty of people say something about it. Don't worry about it. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I thought it was great. I don't know where I came up with this idea. I did not figure, like, this wasn't something that I planned. I just put some water down on the paint. I knew I wanted to put water down and then charge the paint into it so it would move a little bit more. That's the only thing, only plan that I had. I didn't even have composition or anything. I just started filling the page with color, and that's all. And leaving a lot of space. I did want to leave a lot of space around each color because I wanted the acrylic markers to complement the colors that I was putting it on there. And I think it worked wonderful. I think that the colors of these markers, you see how they blend in with the watercolor colors. And it just worked wonderfully. I think this is a great palette, like I said in the swatch. It's a great palette to mix with other paints. Because no matter what and some of them I did 1 or 2 colors. Some of them, I think some of them I did like 3 or 4 colors in there with the watercolor, and some of them were a little bit darker and a little bit lighter, and just tried to complement some things. On the one on the top right, I highlighted with a little bit of that pink color because I just wanted to add some extra pop to something in here, and I didn't do that with anything else except for that one. I should have done a purple one. I know a lot of you people like purple, and the purples that are there, like, and my favorite, one of my favorite colors ever is the Perylene Violet from Core and from Daniel Smith. Those 2 colors, absolutely love them. Perylene Violet's one of my favorite colors, and it's a purple. It's the only purple that I ever use. But I should have put that in here too and done some purple. I did run out of some space, and I wanted to leave some kind of moving everything as I got it down. I saw everything was kind of shifting to one side and kind of bending over. And that's kind of how I wanted it to go. I didn't put any more in the top corner. Maybe a little piece I could have. I didn't. I do regret that. But I think everything else turned out wonderful. I think I don't regret a thing. Just like these people popping up on the screen here, hopefully they don't regret a thing when they support me over on Patreon. I really hope they don't. So thumb up the video if you're gonna check out these paint markers. They're good. They work well, and because they have that rubberized brush tip, you can put them on paper without scratching the paper. That's what I love about the brush tips. You can put them on anything. It doesn't matter if you want to put them on rock or wood or anything, you can, or you put them on paper. I love that about them because I like to mix things on paper. And if I do some kind of mixed media work, that's where I want to do it. Usually on paper, sometimes on a board, but usually on paper because it's hard to do watercolor on a board unless you put the paper on the board or put some watercolor ground on the board. And either way, you're just doing it like that. It's okay. Okay, I don't remember if I screwed anything up in this video, if I had to stop talking or not. Sometimes I run my mouth and I never shut up. Only on the videos. If you saw me in person, I wouldn't talk at all. Anyway, don't worry about that. Here's this. Oh, what is that in my eye? Listen, here's what I'm gonna do. People were asking me, and most of the people are already tuned out. Don't worry about it. The people have asked me about prints for my work. I'm not going to talk about that now. I'm going to put it into a different video. It's going to go in the blooper reel because I'm not talking about it now. We're going to talk about it later. So when I put the paint on the paper, yeah, try that again. I didn't even need to. I didn't need to. No, I didn't need to. I didn't even think to. Or maybe I just didn't think. Maybe that's my problem. If you would like to join our community, go to illustrationsbypete.com. You can come in, you can put your own artwork on the site and promote it. You can find some inspiration in the free reference photos. You can just use them however you want in your artwork. You do not need to credit me. Or you can come into the forums and talk to some people and maybe give some advice and maybe find a little bit of information that helps you. So come check us out. All right, that's about it for me. I'm going to go. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.